Hey guys, we got a BMW S1000R 2022 model in. This was for a ECU flash, but unfortunately we ran into some problems here. So you can see, I can't put that on the dyno. We're going to do chain and sprockets on it, and then we'll get cracking and check what she puts out. Righto guys, so we got our chain and sprocket done, so we're ready to go back to the dyno. That looks all nice and new and clean. So we'll get on the dyno and do a pre-run. Okay, we've got our BMW S1000R on the dyno. We've done our new chain and sprockets, so we're going to get going on our pre-run. Sorry, give me one sec, just getting everything switched on here. So yeah, we're going to get going on our pre-run, and then we'll start with our flash and see what's going on. Haven't done one of these before, so I'm pretty excited, something different. So yeah, we'll see what she puts out, and then we will decide a battle strategy on how we're going to alter all the different ignition maps and everything. There's quite a lot of data that you can change on these bikes, which is quite nice. So yeah, gonna have a good play today. So as you can see, I got to take a drill to this nice bike. Reason being is if you look inside this hole, you can see they've welded the fitting on for the O2 sensor, but they haven't ground away that lip, so I cannot put my thing in there. It's not going to work. We'll have to grind it. Okay guys, so we're done with the pre-run on the S1000R. It made 160 horsepower and 117 Newton meters. That's very good torque. The horsepower's a bit down, but for this model, they claim 165. So it's not far off what the manufacturers claim. It's obviously just that the fueling is so bad now with the modifications on the bike that we have to map it up to actually get the benefit of that. So that's why you do these mods, because as you can see, the client has an absolute gutter pipe of an exhaust on here, Austin Racing. And the other thing, sorry, let me get around there, the old back's not so good these days, is that you can see the size of this link pipe, and they've brought it right down into like a little, you know, so I mean if they kept the same diameter it would have been quite nice. But yeah, unfortunately they didn't. So I mean, you can see that join there. It's a massive reduction coming from the engine side, which isn't really too much of a problem, but we obviously just got no back pressure left in there. We've got to set everything up. We've got our knock sensor all connected up to the motor. So yeah, we're going to see what we can do. As I said, this is my first one I'm doing, so hopefully many more to follow. I think there's a lot of room for improvement here, especially in the mid-range. So if we get there, you can see, basically, you can see how it dips down. You can actually see a correlation between the fueling curve and when it starts hitting, that's basically 12 to 1. So you can see that line there is 12 to 1. And on top is almost 12 to 1. So when we lean that fueling out, we're definitely going to gain, because that's just way rich. I mean, we don't you know, really want that sort of mixture. They're obviously playing it very safe, and also with the mods that have been done, it's changed you know, the stock fueling quite substantially. So basically, just to reiterate, 160 horsepower and 117 Newton meters on the base run. Extremely lean low down, and then obviously quite rich on top. But it's very inconsistent, so smoothing that out will be a lot better. Client complains about popping and banging on roll-off, so he doesn't want that. So we'll have to just obviously, you know, fuel that up and keep it nice and cool so that it doesn't ignite the unburned gases there. Okay, so let's get our DNA air filter in. We just got to remove the stock filter, so obviously all the ECU and electronics out the way. You got to just pop this cover off here. Yeah, let's see. And then your stock filter comes out. See, that's our stock one there. So out with the old. Let's get a new one out here. And there's a new one. Gotta have some breathing. So there we go. We get that all in its housing nice. Make sure that the edges are all matched. All good to go. Slot that in there and then get our clip back in. There we go, all locked down, done deal. Okay. So this is, we've got our power supply, got our ECU all hooked up. This is not a bench flash, it's a seat flash. Just kidding. Anyway, let's get on with our writes. Let's see what we're doing here. Come on, mouse. So we want to write this ECU now. It says here, please put ignition off. Okay, there's our ignition. So then we're all good to go, everything right. Switch ECU and click OK. So now we are initializing communications with the ECU on our new design seat flash. So it's asking us again, put the ignition off, press enter, then turn ignition on. Turn ignition on. Right, there we're reading data now. So we started with our flash, so we just need to let this right in. Then we need to access all the SDS plugs and data plugs in the back. We need to hook up our other harnesses and then we can start collecting data. Why are you telling me? Okay, please turn ignition off. 1, 2, 3. Anyway, I'll leave it at that and show you. Okay, so hope you can see this. See, look more, no hands. I got a new head thing for my GoPro. So even though I look like a tool, I think it's going to be a bit helpful. Okay, let's run through our mapping here and see what we've done. So obviously in the fuel mapping, I've just made some base adjustments here to the fuel curve. So I basically just minused out some fuel on top, added some in low down, left the mid-range was where the bad fueling was. So I backed out quite a bit there. But you can actually see if you go in the mapping where there's a huge hole in the map. So yeah, that's also a bit of a story. That's obviously, so there's two types. There's before shift and after shift. You'll notice that before shift only goes up to 9,500 RPM. So the reason for this is that in normal mode, you'll see it'll rev out to where the limit is, which we've now raised 500. So we're sitting at 12.5. It was 12,000. So before shift is before the cam changes its cam timing. So before the cam moves itself, it'll only sort of, this is before the cam advances or retards, and then that is basically the normal map that shows you full RPM. So you can either work inside this map, or you could, if you wanted to make changes, so your cam, where your cam comes in, you can make your changes there, and then obviously run your richer mixtures after the cams come in. So there's that. So we've changed our fueling basically to try and compensate for this curve. So just guessing games, obviously. We got to log data and make our changes. In settings, we've just disabled the O2 sensor, so I can put my O2s in the exhaust to map. and then I'll re-enable these, because surprisingly these bikes don't use narrowband sensors, they use wideband sensors. So I can, okay, well anyway, let's run through this and I'll get back there. I've dropped the fan temp down. I've changed the RPM, idle RPM, just down a little bit. It was a little bit high for my liking. We've disabled the pair valve, the exhaust valve, and the O2 sensors, but I'm going to put that back because it's wideband, so I can use that to tune the bike under various conditions while the client's riding. You can see we've raised the limit to 500 RPMs. On other maps, we have changed our electronic throttle map, so let's go into 3-dimensional. So there is no race map on this bike. I don't know why it's there, but we're basically running in dynamic. So you can see I've altered this, a nice smooth arc, given it a bit more in the mid-range where you normally do your riding, smoothed it out so there's no rough edges to it. So that's all sorted. And then obviously your torque request. So there was a massive dip here in the mid-range where it's requesting torque. I've changed that just to see what happens. Guessing games again. We'll have to see what the bike does when we ride it. Let's just take a look here. You can see there's the old hole in the map there. Terrible. So yeah, we sorted that out. You can see what I've done. So I just asked for a smoother torque. Yeah, there's quite a few we've changed. Let's go into target AFRs. So in your target AFRs, you can see that the values are not extremely lean. I've just richened them up slightly. So this is our air fuel ratios that these wideband sensors that are in the bike are going to tune to under normal circumstances, and that's what I'm going to tune to as well. So that's basically our setup, ignition timing. We've just added a 2-degree advance across the board. Again, I've got my detonation sensor there, so yeah, we'll see what happens. I've just made a few changes to these. Again, guessing games. We'll have to see when we're actually tuning what the bike wants. And that's basically it. So let's get the ECU flashed in, and then we'll start tuning. Okay, so we're all done with our BMW S1000R. Let's take a look at our specs here. So we started off at 160.8 horsepower and 117 newtons. We ended up on 171 horsepower and 120 newton meter. As you can see, we've gained power the whole way up the rev range here. We've raised the limiter up 500 RPMs. On top, there's a really good gain. Low down, it was pretty good, so I couldn't really, you can see the air fuel ratio sort of there's not too bad, so we pretty much gained from where it was super rich, leaned that out and then gained some power with ignition timing and everything. So yeah, basically an 11 horsepower gain and a whole 3 newton meters. But it's definitely a smoother 3 newton meters, you know, and that's obviously overall. But down here, we've gained pretty big. I think it's about 4 or 5 newton meters there. We've gained about 4 newton meters there. And then obviously massive on top, but on peak is only 3 newton meter. You can see we're also making our power at a slightly higher RPM as well, so that's because we've raised the limiter and everything, so that's all good to go. Yeah, really strong bike, and we've also sorted out the deceleration popping, so it's not crackling and carrying on when we shut the throttle. So I put the injector cut so that the injectors don't cut when you shut the throttle, so at least it continues to fuel the bike up and keep everything nice and cool and safe. So yeah, that's pretty much the bike. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for our next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're doing next. I heard rumors of some Triumph Rocket 3, so that'll be something new as well. Anyway, thanks so much for watching my channel. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends. It would be good to get more bikers on board and get some opinions on, you know, like some feedback on what we're doing. Anyway, take care, till next time.